Welcome to Honeybee. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Real stories of love, lies, and betrayal, where every truth stings. Let's begin. My name is Jay, and for 5 years, I believed I was living a happy, fulfilled married life. Or so I thought. Lisa, my wife, and I seemed to have what most would call a stable and healthy marriage. We didn't fight often, we supported each other, and life felt comfortable, almost routine, in a good way. That's what marriage is supposed to be, right? A partnership where you grow together, build a future, and trust that no matter what life throws at you, you'll stand side by side. But lately, something had shifted. At first, I didn't notice. The changes were small, the kind of thing you could easily blame on stress, a bad week, or being tired. But over time, those small shifts became impossible to ignore. Lisa had always been warm and affectionate. In the past, when I came home from work, she'd greet me with a hug, and sometimes even pull me into a slow kiss like she had actually missed me. But recently, those kisses turned into quick pecks, the kind you'd give a distant relative out of politeness. Our conversations used to flow so easily, about everything and nothing at all. Now, she barely responded when I asked about her day. Her answers were short and clipped, the warmth gone from her voice. The laughter, the teasing, the playful spark, all of it vanished. We were no longer living like a couple. We were just existing under the same roof. And then came the mood swings. One moment, she'd be distant and quiet, lost somewhere in her head. The next, she'd snap at me over something trivial. I kept asking if something was wrong, if I had done anything to upset her, but her answer was always the same, "I'm fine, Jay." But I knew she wasn't. The more I tried to rationalize her behavior, the more it ate away at me. I thought back to the early days of our marriage, lying in bed together, talking for hours, whispering about our dreams and plans. We were a team, but now I could feel her slipping away from me, like the tide pulling back from the shore. So I tried harder. I planned date nights. I made a point of checking on her feelings. I even started doing extra things around the house, little gestures I knew she appreciated, just hoping to spark some reaction, some sign that she still cared. But nothing changed. One night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, feeling the weight of the silence between us. It had been months since we'd been intimate. I didn't know what had gone wrong. I started reading article after article about how to reconnect with a distant spouse, scrolling through forums full of men who sounded just as lost as I felt. One thing kept coming up over and over again: intimacy. Apparently, physical touch could help rebuild emotional closeness. It made sense. Lisa and I had barely touched lately. No hugs, no playfulness, just those empty kisses that felt like a formality. So I tried something small. I reached for her hand, just a simple, gentle gesture. But the second my fingers touched hers, she yanked her hand away like I had burned her. "Just leave me alone," she said coldly. I rolled to my side, took a deep breath, and tried again. "Lisa, talk to me. Did I do something? Please, just tell me what's wrong." She didn't answer. She just stayed still, her back to me, like she was waiting for me to give up. Desperate, I placed a hand on her shoulder, just hoping for some sign of connection. That's when she snapped. She spun around, her voice sharper than I had ever heard it. "Don't touch me. I can't stand you." Those words hit me like a punch to the chest. My body tensed as though I'd been physically struck. I stared at her face, looking for any sign that she didn't mean it, that it was just anger talking. But there was nothing, only coldness. I rolled onto my back and stared at the ceiling, completely numb. For the first time since we got married, I wasn't sure if we could ever fix what was broken. After that, I stopped asking questions. Not because I didn't want answers, but because I knew I wasn't going to get them. I started watching instead. I noticed little things. Lisa began falling asleep in random places. At the dining table, her head resting on her arms, or on the couch in the middle of the afternoon, her phone still in her hand. In the mornings, she looked exhausted even after sleeping all night. Sometimes she'd rush to the bathroom, and I'd hear the toilet flush like she'd been sick. And she was leaving the house more often, without telling me where she was going. Lisa had never been secretive before. If she had errands or was meeting friends, she'd always tell me. But now, she would just disappear. I'd come home and she wouldn't be there. No note, no text. Hours later, she'd walk back in, acting like nothing happened. If I asked where she'd been, she'd dismiss the question, acting like I was paranoid for even asking. I thought about following her, but I knew I wouldn't do it properly. So I hired a private investigator. A week later, I got the call. "We have confirmation," he said. And just like that, everything made sense. Lisa was having an affair. This was why she couldn't look at me, why she had been so cold. I could have confronted her right away. I could have thrown the proof in her face and demanded answers. But I didn't, because at that moment, I realized something. She had already chosen someone else. She had already decided I wasn't enough. And I wasn't going to beg a woman to love me after she'd given that love away to another man. No, she didn't deserve a confrontation. She deserved to be caught off guard. That's when I decided I was going to divorce her, and she was never going to see it coming. One evening, I came home early to look for an important document my lawyer needed. I went to my side of the closet, where I kept all my papers, and searched through everything, but came up empty. Then I thought maybe Lisa had accidentally placed it with her things. I turned to her side of the closet and started looking. That's when I found it. A plain white envelope. Inside was a pregnancy ultrasound. For a few seconds, I just stared, my brain refusing to process what I was holding. Lisa was pregnant. My hand shook as I pulled out the paper, scanning the details. Over a month along. My heart was pounding. She never told me. I started putting the timeline together, and a darker thought hit me. Could the baby even be mine? When Lisa came home that night, she found me waiting. "How long have you known you were pregnant?" I asked immediately. She froze mid-step, her body going rigid. I was going to tell you," she said softly. "Going to tell me?" I laughed bitterly. "Why would you need time to prepare to tell your husband that you're pregnant? Or is the baby not mine?" She hesitated, just for a second, but I saw it. "Of course it's yours," she said quickly. I didn't believe her. "We'll do a DNA test," I said firmly. That's when she broke. Tears poured down her face as she sobbed. "I don't know who the father is." Those words destroyed me. For months, I had been questioning my sanity, wondering if I was imagining things. Now I had my answer. "Get ready," I told her coldly. "The divorce papers will be ready soon." She dropped to her knees, begging me to think about it, to slow down, to let her explain. I didn't care anymore. There was nothing left to explain. Lisa didn't make the divorce easy. She fought me at every step, demanding the house, spousal support. Anything she could get, I let my lawyer handle it. I wasn't giving her the satisfaction of a fight. When the DNA results came back and proved the baby wasn't mine, she shut down completely. The court ruled in my favor. She walked away with nothing significant. I don't regret it for a second. If I had stayed, I would have been raising another man's child, living a lie I never asked for. By the time the divorce was finalized, I was already emotionally gone. Months later, I learned the full story. When Lisa discovered she was pregnant, she went to her lover, expecting him to step up and prove she hadn't destroyed our marriage for nothing. But he told her to get rid of it. He didn't want a child, didn't want responsibility, and wasn't about to rearrange his life for her. That's when Lisa realized she had thrown everything away for nothing, and instead of blaming herself, she turned her anger on me. That's why she became cold. That's why she couldn't look at me. That's why she said she couldn't stand me. It wasn't me she hated. It was herself. But by the time I understood that, it was too late. I had already walked away, and I'm glad I did. If I hadn't, I might be raising another man's child right now. Some men ignore the warning signs. They convince themselves their wife is just going through a phase and that things will eventually go back to normal. But trust me, when someone doesn't want you anymore, you'll feel it. I felt it, and I'm grateful I listened to my gut. It's better to be divorced than to raise a child born from betrayal. That's my truth. That's my lesson. So tell me, would you have forgiven her? Or would you have done what I did and walked away knowing you deserve better? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you connected with this story, hit that like button, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Thanks for watching. Until next time.